Touchdown Productions, NCTV, and the Union newspaper are proud to present Nevada County Decides. And now let's go to Election Central with Cheryl Noble.
Good evening and welcome to Nevada County Decides 2012. I'm Cheryl Noble, and we thank you for tuning in, or perhaps you're streaming in tonight. We are local and global. We are live here at the Rood Center in Nevada City, and as you know, our polls have been closed for a half an hour now, so the counting and tallying has been underway, and it shouldn't be too long before we get our first early results of our local elections. We've got a 2-hour program for you. We're going to go out into the field and check out some of the parties around town, and we've got a panel discussion, and we're going to have some reporters giving us the updates on the results. And before we get started, we're going to go to an interview that our Gil had exclusively with Gregory Diaz, who is the Nevada County Clerk Recorder. So Gil, take it away.
Thanks a lot, Cheryl. I am here with the Nevada County Clerk Recorder, Greg Diaz. Greg, thanks for spending some time with us in a busy election season.
Well, Gil, thank you for coming. It's great you're having election coverage this year, and we're glad to see you.
Well, it is exciting to do some election coverage, and of course, here in the community, it's a great way to serve our people and let them see what's going on. Now, you've been the Clerk Recorder for 6 years.
Yes.
And elections is just part of your job.
It's just part of my job. I also run the county recorder's office. All your important papers, your deeds, we safeguard those documents for you. And also on the county clerk side, marriages. I'm the commissioner of marriages as well. We have a lot of miscellaneous filings on that side.
Now, of course, tonight we're here for the election coverage, a big election locally and, of course, nationally with the presidential election. How has your team ramped up to take care of everything that you're going to have to do tonight?
One of my philosophies is preparation, and then more preparation. So we began preparing for this election a year and a half ago. We did go through a June primary, which was successful. I have a permanent staff of 6 people, and we swell to close to 400 people during election time. So we have our processes in place. Training programs are going on right now as we speak, and we look forward to a smooth election.
Now, you said the office swells, and so you are doing some training. What's the turnaround on the people that come in and work seasonal like that?
Most of our poll workers have worked many elections, so we're very glad. Probably 80% of our poll workers have worked more than 2 elections. The new people come. We have adequate training, resources, materials, plus they can also lean on the veterans, if you will, to get the job done on Election Day.
Now, for those that don't understand everything that's involved, why don't you briefly explain what the process is from the time you go to vote at your precinct to the time that the vote is tabulated?
Well, voters can come in, get a paper ballot, or we have electronic machines. They can go into their polling place, cast their vote. At 8 o'clock, we close polls. Announcement is made at each polling place. We then collect all the ballots. These days, ballots are on little memory cards that are inside the machines at the polling places. All those memory cards are brought here to this spot, and this is the tally center. And we tally up all the votes, and we should know the results of the contest usually around 10:30, 11 o'clock. We should be done.
Now, you're going to have 2 releases of information this year during our broadcast anyway.
Yes. Right now, 7 days before the election, we can start scanning all the vote-by-mail ballots that have been returned. We should have approximately 18 to 20,000 scanned by 8 p.m., close of election. We can then push the button, we can tally. The first report should be available around 8:35, 8:40. After that, we're going to continue to count. An hour later, we should have our second report, 9:45, 10 o'clock. And then around 11, 11:30, we should have our final report.
So for our show, we should have one report almost immediately when we go on air at 8:30,
Right.
And then we'll have one a little bit later, closer to 9 o'clock.
That's correct. That's correct.
Now, you are counting the votes this year. Last year, you were in the election 2 years ago. You know how it is on both sides to be a candidate and to count them. What's your feeling about the candidates? Are they nervous tonight? Are they excited?
Running for office, running for public office is a commitment. It takes a lot of time, takes a lot of money. It's a lot of anxiety. The candidates, I'm sure, are sitting on the edge of their seats waiting for the outcome. Fairly stressful. But once the results have been released, there's a sigh of relief. Whether you're a loser or a winner, at least the contest is over. But yes, the candidates are geared up and they're excited, and there's a lot of anxiety going on.
Now, of course, we're not back east where they have a lot of trouble this year with the storm that just blew in there. Some states are out of power. Have you heard anything down the line about how they're going to handle that?
No, I haven't. I understand there is some water damage with some of the ballots. Printers are printing more ballots, but it seems to me the registrars have the situation under control. There's flexibility with the hours associated with voting. So my understanding is the election will take place. There won't be a postponement, and hopefully they'll be able to get their results in a timely manner.
Now, how many candidates normally come up, or do any candidates come up here to your office that night?
Well, we'll have a handful come up, I would think 3, 4, 5, and they want to come up and see the reports. Many of the candidates have their own parties at whatever bar or restaurant they choose.
All right. Well, all in all, it's going to be a very exciting night here. Not only are we going to choose a new president or re-elect the same one that we have for the nation, but countywide and citywide, there's some very exciting races as well.
It'd be interesting to see how all the tax measures fare. We have tax measures on the statewide propositions as well as local measures. So it'd be interesting to see what the people decide.
Well, thanks a lot, Greg, for all of your work here and your entire staff, I might add, that you look over and shepherd their work tonight. It's really a cornerstone of our democracy in the country. And even though it is your job to do this, I know you have a real passion for the democratic process and the elections as well.
And I'd like to thank you, Gil, for this interview. And I'd like to thank the poll workers, all the hundreds of people who make this process go. Those are the real heroes on Election Day, and I'd like to publicly thank all of them. And you too. Thanks for the interview.
All right. Well, we're just out there in the lobby having fun. And of course, we're going to be here for the next 2 hours bringing you live election coverage, the only live election coverage in Nevada County. Let's throw it right back right now to Cheryl Noble at the anchor's desk.
Thanks, Gil, and thank you, Gregory Diaz, for your time. We're going to go out now to our first field report with Janaea Donaldson, who is at Margaritas, and she's got an interview with Jim Firth, a candidate for the Grass Valley City Council. Janaea.
And I'm at Margarita's restaurant in Grass Valley, where the Democrats from Nevada County are gathering to celebrate this evening, see what's happening, and we're going to focus on the local contests. It's pretty sure that Obama's going to win in California, so I want to have you meet the local folks. I'm here with Jim Firth, who is a candidate for the Grass Valley City Council. Jim, thanks for joining me.
Janaea, thank you for having me here. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to folks.
You've been waiting for this night for a long time. How's it feel?
This feels great. We've had a great campaign. The folks that have been helping me have been outstanding. We've been making phone calls, walking door to door. We're sent out 3,000 mailers. We have handbills by the thousands. Everybody has been really, really nice when I've been meeting them at their doors.
And can you tell stories from that campaign as you've been shaking hands and meeting people and so on?
I can. I think one of my favorite experiences was actually just day before yesterday when I was putting up a yard sign and somebody in their car stopped at a stoplight, leaned out the window and said, "Hey, Jim, you don't have to do that, man. You got it." That was great. That just makes me feel good. Feel great when that happens.
Why are you running for city council?
City council folks, in my opinion, have been doing a lot of talking over the years, and I haven't been here very long, but I haven't seen a lot of action, and I feel the need to do more in terms of public safety, which includes not only police officers, but also streets and sidewalks, which are in some serious disrepair in many places. So with my support of Measure N, I want to see that money, in fact, go to where people are saying it's going to go, even though the measure itself does not require that. So that's one of the reasons I want to be on the city council, is to make sure that that does happen.
How's your family feel? Do you have family here in county? How do they feel about this whole adventure?
It's an adventure. My wife is here. She'll be here actually when she's done with her quilting class a little later this evening. I got a text message from my daughter who lives in New York. She said, "Good luck." I got a phone call from my brother who lives in Modesto. "Good luck." So I said, "Yeah, I'll thank you. I'll be in touch with you tomorrow. I'll let you know what happens." But I also asked my brother at least to tune into one of the local blogs, websites, to keep track of what's going on.
Well, thanks for sharing with us, for kicking off our talk to the demos and greeting us at the door. This has been great, and I'll say good luck.
Well, I thank you. I appreciate that very much.
So back to you, Cheryl, back to headquarters, and we'll be back with more interviews.
Thanks, Janaea. Okay, now we're going to go over to Lou Sitzer, who has 3 panelists to have a discussion about local issues and measures. Take it away, Lou.
Thanks, Cheryl. This is Elections Central at the Rood Center, and this is really where democracy is at its best at the local level. So I want to introduce some people who have been involved in our community for a long time. First is Renette Senham, who has been past mayor and city council member of the Nevada City Council. Anthony Halby, who is a local business owner and insurance agent here in the community a long time, and Patty Ingram, who many people know from being a past mayor and city council member of Grass Valley. So we're well represented here, and we'll be talking about some of the local tax measures, L, M, N, and K. We'll be going back and forth to get election results. But first, I'd like to hear a little bit about, from any of you, about some of what you think is needed in the way of tax measures. These ballot measures have come about. You can talk about Nevada City's one, Renette. That's L, I believe.
Yes, it is. Measure L for Nevada City. When I left the council in July of 2012, we'd been battling for several years decreasing sales tax revenue and property tax and TOT as well, and this has a profound impact on a town that is about 150 years old. And so this is a 0.3% increase in sales tax revenue, and about 60% of it will be generated from tourists, people passing through the community, and it's equivalent to, if you spend $50, it'll cost you an extra 19 cents. And as a former city council member, I really do endorse this measure, simply because we're a very old town. We have old plumbing. We have a fire department that has decreased in size. We have had work furlough days on Fridays, which has had a big impact on the quality of our service. And we want to get that back up to what we were just a few years ago. So I believe it will pass. I believe it has a broad spectrum of support.
More than 50%?
Just over 50%, yes. And I think we're going to get that. I think most community members really were very well educated on it and understand the importance of, really, this is the most direct tax you're going to get. This comes right to your doorstep.
So, Anthony, how does a business owner look at additional taxes? Because obviously it's a burden, and yet it's our local community. How do you respond to the idea of a taxation at the local level?
From a personal level, I'm one that I don't like taxes, but I think she's right. We're in a recession. We have a problem. But when you start adding these little 3/8 cents to what the state of California, if Proposition 30 passes, pretty soon I think people are going to shop sales tax. And not so much little items. You're going to get people who are going to come to Nevada County, or Nevada City, Grass Valley, Truckee. But when you start talking bigger items, and they're going to look at the highest sales tax in the nation, and they're going to look at, we're just an hour and a half from Reno, and we can save a couple $100, I think people will do that. It's
Unless the price of gasoline continues to go up.
well, the price of gasoline, if Proposition 30 passes, is going to go up because the sales tax is going to have to be built into that as well.
So, Patty, you've straddled both sides of city council and business, being with Placer County Title. How do you incorporate? I mean, you see it from a lot of perspectives.
Well, having left the council in 2006, where the city still had redevelopment dollars and still had grant funding coming in from the state, I know that the city is desperately in need of some additional sales tax. What the burden places is on the consumer. I love our first responders, I love the police department, I love our fire department, and God only knows that our infrastructure with the city of Grass Valley certainly needs some help. And I would just refer to Yolanda when she comes a little bit later in the evening, her being there right on the ground level of what's happening with the city and what's going on with the budget. She would have a better perspective than myself. With just my personal life and knowing how difficult it is for families, you know, an additional sales tax, even though that only amounts to maybe $10 or $50 per annual, that might mean a lot, especially with other tax measures coming in through the state. I also look at, you can't look to the state because they're not going to solve our problems. They only make greater problems for local communities. And so I just hope that, you know, the local community looks at what we have here and we all work together. And if it passes, I know that that will be a betterment for Grass Valley. But you have to look at it, you do straddle it. You actually do. You have to take it from your heart and you have to look at it from your pocketbook.
I think one thing we could probably all agree upon, and that is that the decision-making at the local level is preferable than decision-making at the state level. We have more control, we have more decision-making power, we have more expertise, we have more local knowledge.
Well, you can see where the dollars are spent. You know, when you send dollars to the state of California, you don't know where those are going. They're certainly not coming here.
And we can begin to see the shift also, that the state is trying to shift responsibility more to the counties and the cities, and that, you know, is part of the process of our recognizing whether or not we need services cut or taxes to replace, you know, lost revenue. So it's a balancing act, and
I personally think that the state needs to take a look at how they balance their checkbook, not necessarily the local communities.
The state's problem is we have lost our tax base. I mean, not just because of the recession, but this state is anti-business, and we keep pushing businesses out of here. Campbell's Soup, Comcast, Waste Management, and I know a lot of times they say, well, we have Silicon Valley. Well, even Silicon Valley realizes, I mean, Microsoft has built 2 great educational centers, South Dakota and Arizona. Why didn't they build them here? It's because it's not a business-friendly state.
So we obviously have lessons to learn, and it's a question of, you know, the conversation around those lessons and how we can bring, you know, some logic to the equation.
I don't know if there is any logic in politics.
All right. So, okay. So we also have some measures that revolve around schools. You know, we have Measure K, which I believe is in the South County. They're asking for $55 a year per landowner increase in taxes to support the schools. And I'm wondering if you have any thoughts about that.
Well, if you add, and it doesn't affect me, it wasn't on my ballot.
It wasn't mine either.
But we've just been hit. My property tax bill had a $90 fire tax, plus the $150 Northern California tax, and now you're asking people in the South County for another $50. You're nickel and diming everybody, and it's becoming a problem. I mean, yes, I love education. You know, I mean, the state was golden for a long time when I grew up here, but we've lost something, and I don't know where this money is going, but it just seems like we keep asking for more and more, and it's always for the children, and unfortunately I keep seeing it going into pensions.
I do remember we had a lottery that we voted for that continues,
Yes.
and I'm still wondering what happened to that money.
I think the legislature appropriated some of it out.
So how do you guarantee they're not going to do that again?
Right.
I mean, that's the thing. It's just awful.
Well, of course, I sat down with the superintendent of schools recently to discuss Proposition 30 and 38, since they're taxation measures to try to compensate for lost revenue and money to the schools, and you know, it's a tax measure that will at least affect, at least Proposition 30 affects high income people over, what is it, 250,000. So let's come back to this, but first we're going to go to Cheryl to get an update.
Thanks, Lou. And we're actually going to go back out to the field again. We've got a report this time, an interview with Stephanie Chang.
Janaea Donaldson at Margarita's Restaurant in Grass Valley. Okay. Right, thank you. I'm used to, yeah. Alrighty. You still rolling? Are you still rolling? Are you still rolling? Are you still rolling? Good training, all right. Yes?
Okay. Hi. It turns out that due to some sound issues, we'll be coming back to. We need to turn up my mic too. We have coming back to the discussion on Propositions 30 and 38, which are competing propositions. And my understanding is, whichever, if they do pass, and they need a majority plus one, that they will go into effect, whichever one gets the greatest number of votes. But of course, you still need a majority plus one. So my question is to you, and let's just to throw this open, what's your views on 30 and 38? I can guess, but I'd like to hear them.
You first.
I support 30 more than I do 38, but you know, I think my biggest question is just that, is that when we're at the state level, you're really, what's at risk is you have a lot of middlemen. And I know we voted before to support certain ballot initiatives to support the education system. For some reason, we vote yes, but I don't see the trickle down to the schools. So I've lost a bit of confidence.
I agree.
Yeah.
I personally voted against both those measures because I just don't have the faith in this state. And I know that Governor Brown has said, well, this is going to cost our education system. Well, the way I answer that is I would tell any college-bound student today to look at the cost of education in California. There are colleges in the Midwest that will give you the same major, and they are crying for students, and they have scholarship money. If my kids were getting ready to go to school today, I would start looking out of state and saying, look, you can get it's not the Cal State system, but you can go and get the same education, maybe better, and I have to pay less money. And you can get scholarship dollars.
Okay, we are
pricing ourselves
we're not just
out.
talking college. This is K through community college.
Well, I understand, but the big issue is always the college money.
Yeah.
And he appealed to those 18-year-olds that you're going to pay more for your tuition.
We'll come back. First, we go to Cheryl for an update. Thanks, Cheryl.
Okay, we're going to try the tape again with Janaea and Stephanie Chang. We love live TV, right? This is all what happens.
Naya Donaldson, and I'm with the Democrats at Margarita's Restaurant in Grass Valley. We're taking a look at what's happening in Western Nevada County with local projects. This is Stephanie Chagay, who's one of the local coordinators for the Yes on 37 proposition campaign. Stephanie, what's Yes on 37 about?
Proposition 37 is a labeling ballot initiative that would give people the right to know what's in their food by labeling genetically modified organisms.
Is this a citizen initiative? How's it been to run this campaign here in Western Nevada County?
Yes, this is a citizen initiative. Over 1 million signatures were gathered to get this on the November ballot. The voting was today, and we really hope it is in favor with a yes vote on 37. That would give us the right to know.
The right to know what's a GMO?
A genetically modified organism, or a GMO, is an ingredient. It's actually, you start with a basic plant, and in this plant is introduced a DNA. Can we re-question that? Can you ask me that again?
We can start all over. We'll start all over. Okay. We'll start all over.
Oh.
That's fine. I mean, we'll start from this.
Okay.
We'll start from the top.
Sorry. I'm nervous.
You got to move too. Okay. Good. And I may not ask you, but that's. I mean, we'll. Yeah, we don't need to get into the science of that. I want to get. Do you need to know your time code?
Yes. Okay, thank you. We're still awaiting some early results. They're still counting and tallying upstairs. So in the meantime, Lou, back to some discussions over there on the propositions.
Yeah, I don't know if you were able to hear on 37. That's the issue of labeling GMOs. But I did want to finish up first a little bit on 30 because it was really an important issue in terms of, my understanding is if neither of them pass, it initiates triggers which will be devastating to the local school system. And
so why aren't there triggers to something other than the school system, Lou?
Good question.
And that would be my question. My mother is 83 years old on a very, very limited income who has great-grandchildren that she would like to see schooled properly. My daughter and son-in-law, my husband's daughter and son-in-law have small children all in school, and we want to see them have the best school system that's possible. But where is that money going? There's no guarantee that the money that would be passed is going to go to the schools and to help those children. So I look at, possibly my husband and I, we could afford that, right? But can my daughter and son-in-law, or can my mother, an 83-year-old woman who wants her great-grandchildren to have the best school, but it's going to price her right out of living in her own home? It's just not right.
30 refers to people who make over $250,000 a year.
That is true. That is true.
And couples who make over $500,000.
Which none of us would qualify for.
$250,000.
Yeah, but none of us.
Individual makes $200,000. Couples who make over $250,000.
But what does that do to the other consumers that help? Maybe my daughter in her business have somebody come and partake of what she does for a living, or what my son-in-law does, or even what my husband does. Mm-hmm. It would cut back on their ability to spend money or to throw more money out into the system because it's going to be taxed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Have to look, the sales tax increase, whenever you increase sales taxes for anything, that is the most regressive tax on the poor. Mm-hmm. Because they have to pay more for goods and services.
Now you're talking about 38. Mm-hmm. 38 refers to sales tax and a graduated sales tax.
Right. I'm not sure which one, but I know one of them did.
Right.
And that's what I look at and go, like you say, it's the kids who are trying to get ahead, and you're just all of a sudden that income, hardly anybody in the private sector is getting a raise. So they got a set income, and now they're going to lose more because as they buy something, as they want that TV, they're going to pay more for that TV.
Well, I think one thing we can all agree upon, and that is we have all lost faith in the government officials. The further they are from where we are locally,
Don't see them in the grocery store.
the greater loss of faith we have in their ability to govern wisely, and they really need to figure out ways to address that issue, because we're working hard at the local level, and we want to see some results at the state and the national level as well, because we do seem to have experienced, an inability to deal with deficits, and none of us run our households that way. So, we need to be sure that moves upwards. Proposition 37. Okay. All right. We have a report from Cheryl now about the Republican chairman. Cheryl.
Okay, we got another field report, this time with the Republican chairman and our reporter, Terry Hicklin. So let's go out to her now.
Thank you, Cheryl. This is Terry Hicklin back over here at Republican Party headquarters at Gubaz in beautiful downtown Grass Valley. And I have a special guest with me right now, and I'd like you to introduce yourself. You are?
I'm Rich Ullery, and I chair the Nevada County Republican Party.
That's fabulous. Now, Rich, how long have you been doing that?
I'll complete my second year at the end of the year.
Wow. So has politics been something you've been interested in pretty much lifelong as an adult?
I've always kind of been a political junkie and very interested in issues, and decided to get involved in the local party just about 4 years ago.
Well, that's great. So now, have you lived in Nevada County a long time?
We've been here about 8 years now.
Oh, so just a relative newcomer, as the old-timers say.
I guess so, yes.
I've been here going on 30 years, and I'm still not really official yet.
Okay.
I'm still somewhat of a newcomer. So now, do you think that you would ever be interested yourself in running for a local political office?
I do not plan to do that at this point in time. My direction is really into volunteer and really attempting to get the Republican Party really activated and energized and growing again in Nevada County.
Well, that's great. Now tell me, I know that certainly you're hoping that Governor Romney is elected president tonight. What do you think right now as we speak here at about, I think, 7:45, what are the chances? Are they looking pretty good right at the moment? What's the latest? I haven't looked over my shoulder lately.
I mean, this all comes down to the battleground states, I believe, and there's a couple of them that have already gone against us. And there's still 4 or 5 critical states out there, Florida, Ohio, North Carolina, and Virginia, that we're still very, very hopeful that we can bring into the Republican side. But there's also a few that have already been called for President Obama, specifically Minnesota and Wisconsin and New Hampshire, that we had hopes for, but they don't look good for us right now.
Not at the moment. Well, it's a horse race. So it sounds like it might be a dead heat as we go into certainly getting the western states, finding out what we're doing over here in California and Nevada and the other western states. I think the polls are going to be closing very soon, if not closed. So I guess stay tuned is where we are.
Well, absolutely. And we would be too optimistic to think that Romney could ever carry California, at least at this point in time. But we've got some incredibly important local races. We have some ballot propositions that are very near and dear to the Republican Party that we really truly believe that the California voters are going to support us on. And so there's a lot still to be determined out west.
Yeah, it's a hot race tonight.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Rich, so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
You're very welcome. And back to you over there at the Root Center at Election Night 2012 headquarters.
We're back. We've got early results, okay? The moment we've been waiting for. The counts have been coming in fast and furious, so here we go. Okay, this is on the national level. All right. This is, okay, our local count, 42% for Obama and 55% for Romney. That's on our local Nevada County level. And we're going, excuse me, Dianne Feinstein, her percentage is 45% to 55% for Elizabeth Emken. And the next race is Jim Reed, 44%, and Doug LaMalfa, 56%. I believe that is for, is that State Assembly? Oh, that's, okay, the next one, District 4. District 4 is Uppal, 43%, and McClintock, 57%. The State Senate, District 4, Jim Nielsen, 45%, Michael Harrington, 34%, and Ben Emery, 2%, although he actually withdrew from the race, I believe, before the election. State Senate, District 4, Dan Levine, 1%, Dan Logue, 14%, and Jan Reed, 3%. State Senate, District 1, Ted Gaines, 59%, Julie Griffith Flatter, 41%. Assembly District 1, Brian Dahl, 74%, and Rick Bassetti, 26%. And right now, that's all we've got at this point. We're going to send it back to Lou for some more lively discussion. Go ahead.
Well, hopefully we're going to be waiting for some local returns for the Grass Valley City Council. That's going to be a very interesting race with, I think, 5 or 6 people running for 3 seats, and that will be hotly contended, I'm sure. Patty and Renette, maybe you could give us some perspective on what it's like sitting on the city council. You know, you've been there, you've been on the hot seat. It's a job that has no pay, from what I understand.
I think you guys get a stipend,
yeah,
basically.
The city of Grass Valley does a stipend. I think council members get $275 and the mayor gets $300 a month.
Okay, so there's some compensation at the Nevada City level. None. And of course, Grass Valley is a much larger operation in terms of money and responsibilities.
It's my understanding the stipend is based on population. So certainly if you're in a larger jurisdiction, the stipend would be larger. The city of Nevada City has a small population, so I guess they don't meet the threshold. I think the city of Grass Valley just barely meets the threshold. Yeah.
And so what was it like for you on the council?
For me,
how long were you on?
I was on the council for 8 years, 2 of those as mayor for the city. And I think the biggest thing was somebody on the outside really doesn't understand the workings of city government and how it works. And you can say a lot of things when you're on the outside looking in, and when you get there, the reality sets in because you are privy then to all of the information and the dollars and the process, and you realize that probably the people that were there before you really were doing a great job. Maybe they didn't have the same perspective or the same passion that you had in one particular area, but you only have so much to work with. And I think once you get in there, you realize that and you go, wow, this is quite a job. It really is quite a job. So. And
you have a staff to depend on. You've got a planning commission.
Yes.
You've got a lot of paperwork to sift through in terms of your meeting content, listening to public input.
Yes.
And having to be, have the wisdom of the sages in trying to determine what's best.
Currently, right now, I'm on the Planning Commission, which I had not been before becoming a council member and the mayor. So it's a different perspective for me, and it's another opportunity for me to really appreciate staff and what it is that they do. It's amazing.
Okay. Well, it turns out we do have some city council results, so let's see what we find out. And this is, I believe, Cheryl and Matthew Renda is going to give us an update.
Days from the city council race, and next to me is Matthew Renda from the Union newspaper. Would you like to give us an update?
Yeah, sure. So the city council results are in for the city of Grass Valley. The leading vote getter right now is Janet Arbuckle. She has gotten 1,060 votes, which comprises 26.84% of the vote thus far. Lisa Swarthout is in second. She has 940 votes, which is 23.8%. Coming in third is Howard Levine. He has 19.85%. In fourth is Jim Firth. He has 632 votes, which constitutes 16%. And then bringing up the rear, we have Justin Gross and Patricia Turode.
Okay, the counts are still coming in, so it's not final yet.
Yeah, these are only vote by mail. Actually, none of the precincts are reporting. But I do believe that we have some of the ballots from precincts that are arriving, so we should have further updates shortly.
Shortly. And okay, thank you for the update. And now, Lou, we're going to go back to you.
In case you hear rumblings in the background, it's because ballots and the poll workers are bringing them in as we speak. So the noise in the background is the election process unfolding. And the people who have so far been in the lead. Of course, Jan is the existing mayor of Grass Valley City Council, so there's a lot of name recognition. The town is about how many voters would you say, Patty?
Voters, yeah, there certainly is. There certainly are more people living in the city than are registered voters.
And Grass Valley has really taken what I would consider, not living in Grass Valley, has taken a rather aggressive, in the positive sense, a rather aggressive annexation process of expanding its revenue base, its business base. It seems to be growing.
Well, I would.
Up until now, up until the recession.
I would say up until 2006, certainly there are still the 4 special development areas still out there in a particular time horizon, according to LAFCO, that have not come into the city because there's no money and no impetus to come into the city because no one has any dollars to develop it. So as far as growing since 2006, I don't think so much.
Yeah, there were like Loma Rica and a number of others. It would be nice for
the city because of the improvements to the wastewater treatment plant that were planned in 1996. Certainly thinking of having those developments and paying for the upgrade to the wastewater treatment plant. Now the ratepayers are unfortunately kind of taking on that burden at the moment until there is some expansion. But I can't say that we're just like leaping with development right now.
But of course, the new highway that's being constructed now, you know, it's like build roads and they will come.
You mean Dorsey Drive?
Dorsey Drive, but also the expansion of Highway 49 between here and Auburn.
That's a county project with Caltrans.
Yeah, and of course the Dorsey Drive project, which has been approved now and it is in the works, is going to be major.
Yes, and that was planned early in the 1960s, and it was decided not to put that in at the time because they were sure that it would come in after, you know, everybody saw what a great attribute it would be to the hospital. My dad was a part of that plan, and he'd be doing backflips right now, I think, knowing that it's finally going to happen.
50 years later?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, the wheels move slowly.
Yes, they do.
In contrast, Nevada City has kept its boundaries. It's slowly looking at Hirschman Pond. I mean, that was a great acquisition. Could you talk a little bit about how Nevada City looks at its own historical footprint and its maybe attitude towards growth?
Well, we don't really have a lot of room to grow, actually. Geographically speaking, we are very limited. But I think one of the things that Nevada City is taking the lead on is actually green belts. Like, for instance, we just purchased last year Sugarloaf, which we also been trying to do now for many, many years. And so we own well over 400 acres of actual just greenery, and I think it's important that we have that kind of buffer. We offer, trails and hiking and so on to our community. We know the outdoors is very important to them, but really trying to go out there and expand and, so we can have more annexations or more housing developments really is not, I think, in the perspective of
in terms of the branding, and I like to use that word because I think the county and the cities are still, searching for a way to describe the area, but certainly recreation and the way the land trust has taken hold of developing trails to make it more accessible for tourists as well as locals has been a great asset.
Yes. It brings a lot of people here. I mean, they come here for the hiking, they come here for the rivers. I mean, we call it civilization, on the edge of wilderness, and that really does seem to be apropos for Nevada City.
Right. So each city is developing its own personality and identity, and I know there's always been a little competition between the two cities, which I've always thought of as working together would be better than competing.
It's a healthy competition.
But it's always been that way.
For a long time.
Certainly the workers during the mining time lived in Grass Valley, and you had the mayors and the judges and the attorneys that lived in Nevada City, and you didn't marry a Grass Valley boy like my mom did. So I mean, you have the coming of the meeting of the minds. So
do you think that's changed any recently?
No, I don't. I think it's ingrained in part of our culture, and it's a good competition between the cities, and I think we work well together, and yet we like having our own identity and knowing that Nevada City is there and Grass Valley is here, and I think we embrace our own identity.
So this movement, which is also being talked about, of consolidating school districts and consolidating fire districts, there is this possibility of saving money by amalgamating. And so what's your thoughts long term of that?
Well, I think Nevada City is probably more hesitant. I think they're pretty protective of being a full-service city. I think they're protective of the police department. And I think they like the autonomy of being able to make their own decisions. And I actually agree with that. I think particularly, not as much with the fire department, but with the police department. I do believe that we like to know that we have our own police chief right there in City Hall. We make sure that he does what the City Council asks, that he actually listens to us and the constituents. And I think that's very important to Nevada City.
Yeah.
And I think it's a matter of quality. We really believe that, sure, you might save some money, but really that quality is and being able to regulate and lead our police department and so on is very important.
It's interesting because it's one of those balancing acts where democracy works best as it reduces in size and scale, and yet, there is a greater cost. When you have 10 elementary school districts, everybody wants their own autonomy and their own superintendents and their own principals and their own pay scales, and there's a lot of duplication. So from a business point of view, it would probably be a money saver.
But it's not always about business.
Exactly. So here we go. It's like this balancing act that we go through.
Well, and I think that's what Patty was hitting upon, like being on the City Council. The decisions I would make sitting out in the audience watching the council, I guarantee you, were very different than when I was actually sitting on the council, because of the level of information you have that's not available to the public, how people come to you saying, I want to give you some information, and you can look at everything, whereas really it's much more difficult to do that as the public. So I believe the council can really look at everything and say, okay, weighing it, we save money here, but what's the quality of service?
And I don't know if Anthony sees any of this out in the rural area, but certainly I think the consolidation of the dispatching has been a great attribute. Yes. I don't see the city of Grass Valley giving up our police department or our fire department, although we're part of Consolidated too, because that's a great way to work and be able to protect a community when we have such limited resources. But probably Anthony doesn't see any lesser service in the rural part.
Well, it's funny because I'm sitting here thinking, if you guys did do a consolidation, could you do it on a temporary basis?
No, it's pretty damn hard.
Really?
It'd be a lot of work.
Let's give this a try for a year, and if it doesn't work, we just split it off?
It's a lot of work to put it together.
It's a lot of work to put it, especially with the dispatching.
I can make a different decision.
You put the effort into that if you think it's long term, but just to try it out for a year, by the time you try it out, you've cost yourself a lot of extra money just
and it's
actually.
just not worth it.
Yeah.
Interesting. See, I didn't grow up here, and this culture thing between Grass I've heard of, but I've never, like I said, I don't know. Maybe I don't see it.
When they opened Nevada Union High School, when they were going to do that, Nevada City High School marched on to Grass Valley property. There was this big, oh my God, I wasn't even, I think that was in the 50s, so I was like not even born yet. But it was this big thing. I mean, they were just appalled that they were going to consolidate the two schools and have one high school. Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
The history of the towns is wonderful. We need to go to get some election results, and we'll come back. This is on to Cheryl.
Thanks, Lou. And we do have some more election results. These are from the mail-in ballots, and the lobby here is getting quite full with as the ballots from the precincts are coming in. So lots of activity here. So right now, we've got Director for Nevada County Consolidated Fire District, Tom Carrington, 19% of the votes, Linda Chaplin, 12%, and William Hablett, 16%. Also on the directors for the Consolidated Fire District, Warren Knox has 16% and Robert Rhodes has 13%. Also on the Fire District, John Leonard, 11%, Ronald Pennington with 13% of the votes. Division 3 for NID, Guy Tortesini, 33%, W. Scott Miller, 67%. This is Division 5 Director for NID, Nick Wilcox, 69%, Jack Meeks, 31%. Grass Valley City Council, the updates on that is Janet Arbuckle with 27%, Lisa Swarthout, 23%, or sorry, Janet has 27%, Lisa Swarthout 23%, and Howard Levine 20%. Jim Firth 16%, Justin Gross 7%, and Patricia Truroad at 6%. And I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing the names. And with the City Council Grass Valley race, there are 3 seats available. Okay, that's our latest results, and they're still coming in. So right now we're going to go back out at Goombas with our reporter Terry Hicklin, who I believe is interviewing the softball team. This should be interesting.
Hi there. Thank you, Cheryl. And I'm Terry Hicklin out with a slice of Americana on this election eve 2012. And I'm here at the beautiful ballpark at Memorial Park in Grass Valley with a couple of girls from the local California Crushers softball. This is softball we're talking, right? Mm-hmm. Tell me your names.
Sharon Parrish. Tori Parman.
And they both go to NU?
Yes.
And tell me now, you told me that you guys had a local school election.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, basically, we had a representative for Democratic and Republican, and they just went class to class and basically discussed about it and what happened, and the students actually got to vote.
Was it fun?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, do you think most of the students at NU participated in this?
Yes, we had most of our junior classes and senior classes.
Was this part of a civics class, or?
It was kind of basically because it was seniors and juniors got to vote too. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's fabulous. So, did you get an outcome before you left school today?
Yes, we did.
Tell us.
Obama won.
Obama won.
Yeah.
And did you also vote on like the propositions?
Yeah, but I don't know about those.
Don't know about those, yeah, because there were some big ones, like the GMO thing was real big, especially here in Nevada County. There's a lot of people interested in that. All right, girls, well, you have been fabulous guests. I really appreciate letting me hijack you here, which we've done so well. So I'm going to let you hold this mic.
Okay.
And I'm going to say, back to you at Election Central.
Terry looks like she's having way too much fun. Terry's having a lot of fun. That was a great interview. Okay, so now we've got some updates on our local measures. So let's see how they're coming in. Looking for some statistics here. Okay, Measure N, and these measures, I believe, are all tax-related measures for money increases. Measure N, that is yes 67%, no 34%. Measure M, yes 83%, no 17%. Measure L, yes 73% and no 27%. Measure K, yes 34%, no 66%. Measure J, yes 47%, no 53%. We're going to give it back to you.
Okay, well, thank you, Cheryl. I'm going to challenge Cheryl and Gil to find out the percent of ballots counted, because we're getting some initial results, but we don't know whether it's 20% of the ballots or 80% or 100%. We need to get an idea, get our hands around that figure. So these are mail-ins, but of course, what I understand is our mail-in ballots for the county run at about 70%. So we have a high percentage of mail-in. So this is a pretty good indication, at least at the local measures for the cities, that those tax measures look pretty good in terms of passing. I mean, pretty good or pretty bad, depending on your point of view. But in terms of our discussion here, it certainly is going to help the treasuries of the town meet the expenses that they're obligated to meet in terms of public services. Keep running the town, water, safety, fire, all the necessities. Measure K, against it, and that was a school tax.
And I just, you look at that, and of course, we are an old community.
It's an old community. I think it has a great deal of influence. Most people have said, I've already raised my children.
Right.
Grandchildren have already gone off to college.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Although they were right, at one time we tried to get them to vote a high school in Penn Valley, and think about it, if we would have built that, it would have been a useless building.
It would have been empty.
Yeah.
Right, because of the decreased enrollment, people that had to leave, go to the cities for jobs, primarily, and we've become more of a retirement community. I mean, I wouldn't describe it as such, but it's the demographics lean more towards the older population. Yeah. The one thing I wanted to get back to, City Council, the three people who are so far in the lead are the people with the greatest name recognition, people who've been on, Lisa Swarthought and Jan Arbuckle, mayor, of course, are on the City Council now. Howard has been the downtown
president.
Yeah, for something like 20 years. He's kind of known for his Hawaiian shirts and bicycle rides. He's even painted on the mural there, very controversially. So it looks like, that's probably a likely scenario for the City Council. Why is it that there are nobody running for Nevada City Council?
I don't know. I was a little surprised by that, because I do know quite a few different people who were seriously talking about it, so I don't know why they got cold feet.
So actually 3 candidates, they just 3 positions, no election.
Right.
Save some money.
Save some money, though I actually really do think there's a great value in going door to door, knocking on all those doors, talking to people, because you get a really good pulse on what's important to people. And without that, I think you kind of enter into the City Council a little bit blind. It's really difficult to have a good sense of what the public wants.
One thing I did remember about the Proposition K and also Proposition 30 and 38 in talking with Holly Hermanson, who's superintendent of schools, rather shockingly, she said that if 30 doesn't pass, and that's 30 or 38, doesn't really matter, but if neither of them pass, it will push California to 50th in the state, in the country, in the nation for per pupil allocation of funds, K through 12 and community college, 50th in the nation, and it used to be that California had the best education system in the country.
What happened?
Yeah.
What happened between then and now?
That would be a great story.
I know.
That would, we need to tell that story.
What happened?
Yeah.
Where did the money go?
Where did the money go?
I mean, to be below Mississippi, nothing against Mississippi, but it's it does say something about California.
I know.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
And
It's a
we're-
sad commentary, isn't it?
It's terrible. Yeah, I mean, I'm a retired school
and
teacher.
The only way that we could make that better is by taxing the people.
Right.
So
Well, it's obvious things have got
more
to change.
taxing the people more. Not,
Things have got to change.
yeah.
You know, and maybe we have to go through hard times before we can come out.
You know, I've said that for years.
Yeah.
I kept thinking we're at a tipping point. And I thought we might have been at a tipping point, but people still elect their same local representatives. And yet these people are making all the bad decisions.
Yeah.
And you just, I mean, look at the bullet train.
Yeah.
I mean, why, if we're hurting on the education level, why do we think we're going to put money into this thing? Why not just put that money into the education system?
It's a good question. You know, how? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we're going to look at some propositions, and this is local. It's the school tax. This is number 30. So this is, again, just Nevada County. And we're looking at 60% vote against Proposition 30, which is the tax on $200,000 and above, 1%. Of the income, and so as you would predict, Anthony, it was voted down locally. I think that you would agree with your point of view. The state budget, I believe that 31 is about a 2-year budget. A 2-year budget plan, and 31 says no to a 2-year budget plan. I mean, I think, frankly, the state has a hard enough time planning for 1 year. So 32 is, political contributions coming from, I know I do have a list here somewhere, right, and it says yes, that it does want to eliminate payroll deductions from unions. And again, this is just Nevada County. So it's saying that unions should not be taking money out of payroll deductions to be used for political purposes. And the county votes. Now, auto insurance this is a special insurance rider, and frankly, it confused me. Does anybody have?
It's not a business that I'm in.
Okay.
And I looked at this, and in fact, I meant to call my own auto insurance guy and ask him what's behind this, because it seemed to be. Of course, I've always had a good driving record. I've always got my discounts. I don't understand what it means that you can't take them with you. I can't imagine any insurance company looking at somebody and saying, "Well, you've got a great record. We'll give you a discount."
So now it turns out that most people agree with you, and they voted against it locally. 34 is in favor of eliminating the death penalty, and 60% of the population want to maintain, I believe that's the way it reads, want to maintain the death penalty as it now exists. At least that's the local judgment. Yeah. And this is on human trafficking. Legislation that will enforce and strengthen laws preventing human trafficking. Pretty resounding yes locally. I think we can assume that's going to happen at the state level as well. 3 strikes. This is giving judges more leeway in terms of not putting someone away for a nonviolent third offense. Mm-hmm. This is going to keep nonviolent offenders from spending the rest of their life in jail. And interestingly enough, Anthony,
that surprises me.
That is surprising. In this community especially, I think we would have known better.
Yeah,
sorry.
Well, no,
but you know, it tells me that we're not educated about the food we're consuming, and this to me was the most important ballot initiative going in the state of California.
It also talks about out of state money coming in from big corporations.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think we are a society anymore where everything is a soundbite. And you had the sound bites talking about, well, you would label dog food but not the meat at the store and all this. And then you had somebody else saying we should do this because of I believe, let's start. I mean, that's why I say I think this county is so much into, natural medicine, natural foods. That really does surprise me.
Okay.
And I don't count even natural or organic. I just call it the food that our parents used to eat.
Okay, an education tax. This is the Molly Munger amendment that would be a graduated tax, and it is a resounding no locally. And I think we can assume, statewide it's probably not going to pass either. That's my sense.
Again, we are an older county.
Yeah.
And it's hard to pass anything on a school idea.
Yeah, it is.
We're up to a business tax. Getting to this is a close vote. This is a very close vote. Whether businesses that operate out of state but make money in state should pay taxes on the revenue they make in state, and it's pretty close to call. We'll have to wait for later results. And the last one, Proposition 40, should be an easy one because there was no rebuttal. This is on the redistrict. It's not a business tax. This is on redistricting. So this needs to be labeled redistricting, number 40, and it's in favor of maintaining the redistricting that was determined by an impartially selected group of people. Okay, and we're going back to Cheryl now, so take it away.
Hey, thanks for the update on the propositions. And now we're going to go back out to Janaea Donaldson at Margaritas, and she's got an interview with Janet Reynolds. Go, Janaea.
It's Janaea here with the Democrats at Margaritas, celebrating this evening already. You can hear it going on behind me. I'm here with Janet Reynolds, who's been really involved with a phone canvassing, is that right, in Nevada County. Tell me what your title is.
My official title is the Phone Bank Canvassing Coordinator for the general election for the Democratic Central Committee in Nevada County.
Oh, that's a mouthful. What do you do? What is phone canvassing?
Well, we are part of a statewide effort to get out the vote in Nevada County. We are only calling Nevada County residents, and it's a computer program that we use. We have over 40 people on our that do phone calls for us, and they can do it at home, online, or they can come into the office and we can print up call sheets if they don't have the use of a computer. We just asked them to bring in a fully charged cell phone because we don't have a lot of phones at the office to use when they come into the office.
And so when they call, is there a script that they use, and what are you having them say?
We're specifically calling for Jim Reed, who is our congressional candidate for our new congressional district. And we're also calling for two of the propositions, Proposition 30 and Proposition 32. And we're identifying occasional Democratic voters. They don't vote in every election. They tend to vote in the big ones. Something wonderful just happened. I don't know what, but
it sounds good, whatever it is.
So we're calling them to urge them to go vote this particular election, to vote for Jim Reed for Congress, and to vote yes on Proposition 30 and no on Proposition 32. And we've made over 4,000 phone calls just since September to today. We were phoning right up until 8 o'clock tonight.
Wow, congratulations to you. Do you end up talking to people, not just to their answering machines?
Yeah, we do. We do leave a message if we get a voicemail, but we do sometimes actually get somebody on the phone. And it's interesting because sometimes they'll call back your cell phone if they see that you've called them, and they want to know why were we calling if we didn't leave a message. And so we tell them. I would say the response 98% of the time is wonderful. They're very interested. We had a few people today that hadn't done their ballot yet, didn't exactly know where their polling place was, so we had a lot of people at the office to look up polling places. We had people there to drive people to the polls, which we did not need to do. And, we were as prepared as we could be, particularly for today.
Why do you personally choose to do this kind of work?
Well, I'm a political junkie. I don't know why. I can't stay away from politics. I've tried a few times, but I always end up getting back involved. This election to me is extremely important, particularly as a woman. And I know we weren't calling for Obama because they felt California was a lock for Obama. He just won California. But I really am hoping that maybe we can get Jim Reed elected to Congress. And I'm very much an advocate for people getting out to vote. I raised 2 daughters by myself, and one of my daughters, excuse me, I'm getting emotional, one of my daughters actually posted on Facebook today a picture of the suffragettes and some of what they went through to get us the right to vote. And they're in their 30s now, and they both wouldn't dare not vote because they know I'd come after them.
So you're standing in the shoes of the suffragettes.
I am. Yes. Yes, I am.
Thank you. Thank you, Janet, for your work.
Thank you.
Over you to Cheryl.
Okay. Thank you, Janaea. Let's have some Nevada County national presidential votes coming in here. And we've got 44% for Obama, and Mitt Romney is at 54%. And this is still just mail-in ballots, I believe. And let's see what we've got next. Dianne Feinstein at 46%, and Elizabeth Emken 54%. And this is just for Nevada County, not at the state yet. Republican district, or representative district for Jim Reed, 46%, and Doug LaMalfa at 54%. District 4, Representative Upal at 43%, McClintock 57%. State Senate District 4, Jim Nielsen 45%, Michael Harrington 34%, Ben Emery 2%. State Senate District 4, Dan Levine 1%, Dan Logue 14%, and Jan Reed 3%. State Senate District 1, Ted Gaines 59%, Julie Griffith Flatter 41%. Assembly District 1, Brian Dahl 74%, Rick Bassetti 26%. And now we're going to go to City Council latest results. And that's for Grass Valley. And those are 3 seats that are up for City Council in Grass Valley. Jan Arbuckle at 27%, Lisa Swarthout 23%, Howard Levine 20%. Jim Firth 16%, Justin Gross 7%, and Patricia Trueroad at 6%. So the close races between Howard Levine and Jim Firth at this point. Okay, we've got a new set of panelists this time. So, Lou, we've got new sets of discussions. We're going to toss it back to you.
Well, thanks a lot, Cheryl. I appreciate it. You know how they say on national TV, it's time for some breaking news. Well, I just want to mark this time at 9:43 Pacific Standard Time. NCTV and UBANet want to declare and officially declare President Barack Obama the newly elected president for this 2012 election cycle. And so on that news, we want to turn back to our local level. We have Robert Bergman, who has been mayor and city councilman for the Nevada City Council, and Yolanda.
Indeed.
Pardon?
I said indeed.
Indeed. And Yolanda Cookson, who recently retired from the city council, stepped down, and
I have a couple more meetings.
A couple more meetings. Okay.
More meetings.
Yeah. And you're smiling.
Yes.
So is this So what prompted you? I know there's been some stories, but written up. What was your experience like? I hope it wasn't so discouraging that you said, "I've had enough."
No.
Okay.
No, it wasn't discouraging at all. It's been a wonderful 4 years. I've had the privilege of working with 4 really amazing individuals. I've learned a great deal, and being the youngest female city council member in Grass Valley history, I really feel it's incumbent upon me to kind of step back, reflect on what I've learned, and go back, hopefully in a couple years, rerun, and bring back everything that I've learned, plus the new things that I've learned. I just became a new mom, so I think those
pretty good reason.
Great reason, you know. I mean, he's very active, adorable, but I think there's a lot of things that I can continue to learn. And the community is just a wealth of knowledge, so I need to really kind of reflect back, serve in different capacities. I think there's a lot of different things that I can do.
You know, that is the wonderful reason that I've lived here over 40 years. It's community at its best. Even though oftentimes we don't agree, it really doesn't matter, because we're all willing to do the work to make it a better place. And in the conversation, somehow we're able to move forward and maintain a sense of community that we haven't lost. You know, I think it's what draws people here. It's what will continue to draw people. It's what will draw you back to public service. And so, Robert, you have been in public service now.
Not that long.
Not that long,
I mean,
but
it was something. The original decision was wholly out of character, and I never regret it. It was from the onset an enriching experience. It expanded more and more and more as it became more involved. Getting to know, first of all, the local troops. I'm extraordinarily impressed with and fond of city staff, and then the neighboring jurisdiction. I've really liked working with them, and the whole sense of collaboration in trying to, I wouldn't say bridge divides, but work together to affect better ends. I know that early on I served as the city's representative on the ERC, and that role's expanded, and for reasons that are probably will become clear next year, I'll be the chair of that.
Explain ERC for people who aren't.
It's the Nevada County Economic Resources Council, and it's an organization built of businesses and government. Its mission is to basically facilitate businesses coming and going, people in problems, being a resource for any economic activity in the county's area. And recently, with the county's grant, it's expanding to choreographing tourism events and so on and so forth. And it's building into a stronger organization. And also, another thing I picked up is, again, the city's representative on LAFCO, which was Local Agency Formation Commission, which is geared towards annexations, development kinds of efforts. And then just recently I was elected to the board of directors of Cal LAFCO, and the first meeting is Friday, and that'll be another one. So, I mean, I guess the tenor of what I'm saying is I keep not walking away from different types of opportunities just because each one adds a little bit more.
I wanted to emphasize that this is a community, a series of towns where people can get involved. And, you can sit back and complain about government, or you can get involved in it and try to improve it. And it really is a way in which citizen input is available, valued, listened to, and makes sense. For the most part, we've got some pretty good people, both at the supervisorial level, at the city council level, and it all, it's all done in the spirit of public work. And I think that's what makes this area one we all want to live in.
I agree. I mean, it's a level of commitment. It's volunteer, and you have to care. And then you see in the community as a whole that residents genuinely do care. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with everything they care about in the way that they care, but the passion is there. And as you know, I guess my take on things is all you need to do is to be able to explain intelligently with facts, hopefully, why you think what you think. I know early on, of the various issues, the first one I stepped into was whether or not we were going to have a medical marijuana dispensary here, and so I just made myself become really conversant in the topic. But that's just the feeling, because people are entitled to an answer because they care.
Right. And of course, that's an ongoing issue. It's not going to go away in the near future. It's going to be one because marijuana in this community, whether it's recognized or not, is a revenue source. The businesses respond, and the police force does its best job to enforce what is a reasonable interpretation of the law, and whether state and it's a big issue. And when I was a youngster, it was a big issue. So it has. Okay, so we're going to go to Cheryl and catch up on some reports.
That's right, Lou. We're going to go back out to a party at Margarita's with Janaea Donaldson, and she's interviewing Peter Van Zandt.
Janaea Donaldson here at Margarita's with the Democrats, and I'm here with Peter Van Zandt, who has been with the scene for a lot of years. What do you see now?
Boy, it's pretty exciting tonight that Obama got reelected, and I'm excited about Jim Firth. I've been watching the Grass Valley campaign, and I always like to see new blood come into the process, and I don't know what the results are going to be, but Jim went out and he walked and he brought up issues, and I think that really refreshes the politics, the local politics. So I'm waiting to see some of the other results, but it's a good night with Obama winning so quickly, and and I think the down ballot results are going to be a re-energizing of our progressive movement here in Nevada County.
What do you mean? I don't understand what you meant there.
Well, there was a time when progressives had a greater representation on the elected bodies, and that kind of drifted away. And I think that's coming back with the energy from Obama winning, and the issues that have been brought up in the campaign really affect us here. Women's health, the poor, jobs, all of those other issues, they're here, and it's about time we started addressing them.
Well, of course, I want to say that you were one of those progressives, and it was a tough fight.
It was a tough fight, but it was well worth it.
Thanks. Any other thoughts about what you're seeing? What'll I say? Countywide, district, Senate, anything,
One of the downsides of living in Nevada County is that our state representatives are traditionally conservative Republicans over and over and over. And I don't feel as though our progressive voices are really represented in Sacramento. Having said that, I've supported Brian Dolly from Lassen County because I worked with him. And he is certainly conservative. But on the other hand, he's really good on rural issues because he's a farmer from Lassen County. So I'm hoping that he will be a new voice for rural Nevada County and rural regions.
Maybe in a way we need something that's not progressive, not the red and blue kind of contrast, but something else.
Yeah, I think that's something else hopefully we'll return to. It's called problem solving and working for the people who elected you, all of them. I know it's an old concept, but I think it's one we should really try to recreate.
Great idea. Peter Van Zandt, who's been representing the people in Nevada County in another time.
Yes, another time, yeah.
Giving us a view for these times. Over to you, Cheryl.
Thank you, Janaea. Looks like she's having a lot of fun at Margaritas. We're still waiting for an update on results, and I just got to tell you, the lobby has been buzzing with the precincts, and there are carts coming in, and there are boxes of ballots from all of the polling places. So they're still coming in, and they're still getting counted. So I'm sure we'll have some new updates very shortly. In the meantime, let's go back to Lou with his discussions with Yolanda Cookson and Robert Bergman.
Before we take up the local discussions, I want to point out the fact that NCTV and Touchdown Productions has organized this event with about 25 volunteers. And in terms of public service, if you want to get involved with the community, if you want to get involved with your own issues, your own point of view, your own creativity, the local television station is really a way to do it. And it's free expression. It's not only televised locally, but it's on the internet, so it goes all over the world. It's great publicity for a town that should be known. You know, it has the Circle Film Festival, one of the greatest environmental film festivals in the country. It's known for its recreation. It's known for so many wonderful projects and issues. So that get involved. This is a way to contribute to the community and contribute to your own well-being. So here we are with two people who have taken the steps in to get involved. And Yolanda, you're taking care of a youngster now, and are you still working?
I'm still working, yes. I work at the Friendship Club. I am a development director there. So I'm very fortunate because my son gets to come to work with me a couple days a week.
And what is the Friendship Club?
The Friendship Club is a nonprofit that serves at-risk young girls in Nevada County. So it's been around for almost 18 years now. So it's been here for a while, and it's definitely making an impact on our youth.
It's great. Mm-hmm. Yeah, in fact, we had a program with the Friendship Club for some of the high school girls would come over and would learn television work. And, you know, of course, we're not that far apart geographically. Definitely. You know, that could still happen again. Yes. So we've moved and setting up. It'd be wonderful to train some of the girls in broadcasting. And
I will let them know that. I think that some of them would definitely be interested in that.
Great.
It's awesome.
And so, Robert, I know that you are a lawyer by profession. And how long have you been in the community now?
It's over 30 years.
Really?
I think, yeah. Just after my oldest daughter was born, so that's 1982, came up here in January, and have been here ever since.
And have you always lived within Nevada City's limits?
No. Started off down in Penn Valley. We were there for a couple months, then in Wildwood for a little while, then Nevada City. So probably all but 8 months or so. Worked my way up the hill.
Yeah. And Yolanda, have you always lived in Grass Valley?
No. My husband and I moved here in 2006, January 2006. So January this year will be 7 years.
And so you really jumped into politics?
I jumped in. I actually had the good fortune of working with Patty Ingram, who was just here, and she was the mayor at the time. And she kind of just started sharing with me about city council and the things that they do. Never had a real interest in politics, but it was just neat to know that it was something that was accessible. It wasn't something that was only for certain people. And I started attending meetings and kind of got the bug.
Great. Well, we're going to go to Cheryl now and give us some reports from the field.
Thanks, Lou. Yes, we've got a report from Goombas where Terry Hicklin is there, and she is with Janet Arbuckle. Oh, they just moved over to Cane's, I heard. That's the latest. So Cane's restaurant, where the party has moved over there.
For tossing it back over to us here in Grass Valley, where we are at the beautiful Cane's restaurant with a whole lot of folks that have been running for local office here in Grass Valley and winning those seats tonight. And I'm lucky enough to be sitting here with incumbent and new winner of a seat on the Grass Valley City Council, Miss Jan Arbuckle. Very, very happy to have you here tonight, and congratulations to you, Jan.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, it's still early, and, you know, anything can happen, you know, how things happen at the last minute.
Sure.
But I am very excited, and actually, I am more than excited. I am more grateful that the voters of Grass Valley feel confident that I've done a good job.
Well, sure. I mean, obviously, this last so you did a 4-year term, and you were put in for a 2-year term prior to that. So you're actually starting technically a 3rd term, 2.5, 3. So, I mean, the voters have showed that they do have faith in you and what you've been doing for the city of Grass Valley. Tell me, this time around, are there any specific goals that you have? What are you most looking forward to working on this year?
What I'm looking to work for is continuing the collaboration and the with the other entities, the other municipalities that we have, making sure that everything moves forward with Dorsey Drive. Because it's slated to be completed in 2015.
That's a biggie,
and that's huge for us, and just everything that we've worked towards as far as collaborating with the other agencies, with Nevada City, with Truckee, with the county. I just want to see that continue, because I really honestly believe, and especially in these economic times, that we have to all get on the same page. And if we can combine whatever efforts that we have, that's what we need to do. And so that's what I want to do. That's my strong part. I am a really good mediator. I'm really good at relationships, and it's been evidenced.
That's fabulous. You're a people person, obviously. I mean, that's really important. What have you done in your private life? What's your history, employment history? What have you done?
Well, I'm retired from the Sacramento County Sheriff's Department as a deputy sheriff, and I am
people skills needed there.
Very much so. So it's been a really good thing for me to have that experience, because you have people that like you, and then you have people that don't like you, and for me, I'm used to that.
You're used to that.
I'm really, really used to that, and so, but I'm also, even though I'm no longer with the Sheriff's Department there, I'm also a peer support coordinator, which actually serves as a mediator for critical incidents and any kind of conflicts. So it's really helped with a good example is the dispatch. At first we thought it was a dead thing, and so I have a really long history with Sheriff Royal. He and I actually worked together at the Sheriff's Department, and so I went to his office and said, okay, how can we make this work for both of us? Not that you win and we win, but how do we make this work? And so now it's fruition. And I think that is so important, that people can actually, glom on to what unites us, as opposed to what separates us.
What divides you?
Exactly.
Why concentrate on the negative?
Why
go to
that?
the positive.
It doesn't matter what your politics is. It doesn't matter anything. So I think that's one of my really strong points, and I want to continue that, because we've established amazing relationships.
Transferable skills, and you've been in the trenches. Well, Jan, thank you so much for taking time out of your fabulous celebration here tonight, and I think things are looking pretty good.
I think so.
All right, well, enjoy your next 4 years.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And thank everybody who voted for me. I really I'm honored. I am really honored. Thank you.
And we're going to turn this back over to Election Central over at the Rood Center, and Cheryl, take it away.
Okay, thank you, Terry Hicklin at Canes with Janet Arbuckle. And I'd like to I don't know if we can get a shot of this, Gil, with the Boy Scouts who are bringing in the ballots from all over the polling places. So the ballots are still coming in. It's 10 o'clock at night. So all of the count is still coming in for Nevada County. But a big shout out for the Boy Scouts who have been bringing in all of these luggage and boxes full of ballots. So it's really quite an active headquarters for the county election. So let's go to now the school districts. I think we've got some updates for that. Area 3 trustee, which is Sierra Community College District, John Edwards Berg, 58%. Scott Tim Leslie at 42%. Area 3 trustee, NJU, you can read that, Nevada Union High School District, thank you. Katie Schwartz at 58%, James Drew, 42%. I need to know my school districts. Area 4 trustee for Nevada Union School District, Jim Adams, 43%, Paul Aguilar, 28%, and Cindy Latimer, 29%. And trustee Nevada City School District, Paula Campbell, 37%, Augustine Del Valle, 12%. And another, Trish Gerving, 28%, Aaron Minute, 23%. Board member for Pleasant Ridge School District, Scott Hopper, 36%, S. Robert Tice Raskin, 23%, Mary Newberry, 41%. Director for the Higgins Area Fire Property District, Alex Crawford, 3%, Chet Craigs, 6%, Dan Fitzgerald, 7%. We're going to go back now to Terry at Kane's Restaurant, and she has Lisa Swarthout with her.
Thanks, Cheryl. And this is Terry Hicklin back over here at the beautiful Kane's Restaurant in lovely downtown Grass Valley. And I'm here with a big winner tonight, Miss Lisa Swarthout. And that's easy for me to say, probably easier for you to say. And she looks like she's won her third elected term as Grass Valley City Council member. How are you feeling?
Right now I feel pretty good. It's not just, about the fact that I'm ahead, and I wouldn't say we've won yet because not all the results are in, but I'm very pleased with the results. I'm also very pleased that Measure N is winning by a very large margin right now, and that is very important to the city of Grass Valley.
So now, for those who don't know, tell us a little bit about Measure N.
Measure N is a sales tax measure that we put on the ballot to help backfill our fire, police, and some road construction work that desperately needs to be done in Grass Valley. We have had a huge shortfall in our budget over the last couple of years because our sales tax and our property tax revenues have dropped so significantly. So Measure N is going to put probably about $2 million a year into public safety and into road construction, and it really is something that is desperately needed in our community.
Oh boy, isn't that the truth? So it sounds like that one's handily winning tonight.
It looks like it is, and there's a lot of people who worked really hard. In particular, all of our firefighters, all of our policemen, our staff, everybody just really, they spent weekends walking, explaining it to people, and they're owed a huge debt of gratitude from the City Council because they really made this happen.
It's nice when a group gets behind something with passion and really makes it happen. So it sounds like you had a great team here in Grass Valley.
Absolutely. Public safety is probably the foremost thing that we as City Council people are responsible for our community, and without enough dollars to fund it, it's been very challenging over the last couple of years. So this is really going to give us the opportunity to be able to fill some of the vacant positions that we have both in the fire department and the police department, to pave some streets and fix some sidewalks in the city of Grass Valley that we have not been able to do over the last few years.
Well, it sure sounds like it's going to be money well spent.
Absolutely.
No doubt. So now tell me, as the most senior or a senior member of the city council, are you the most senior now?
No, I actually am not the most senior, probably because I don't like to think that I'm that old, but Dan Miller is currently serving his second term right now, but he also was back in the City Council back in the 1990s, so he's been there probably 4 more years longer than I have.
I see. So we're going to wrap. I just have one question for you, Lisa. What is your primary goal this term? Is there something in particular that's a special goal that you have for your term on Grass Valley City Council this time?
Previous to the City Council, I spent 9 years on the Planning Commission, so my total service to the City of Grass Valley has been about 17 years. And Dorsey Drive has been at the forefront of the work that we've done over the last 17 years. It's fully funded now. We're going out to bid. We're hoping to break ground next year, and that is something that I have had a great passion for because it's just a huge opportunity for us to have a safer access to the high school, to the hospital, to Sierra College, and to really make the traffic flow a lot better in Grass Valley. So we're very excited about Dorsey Drive.
Yeah, well, after all your years working on it, I'm sure you're eager to see it come to fruition finally.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Lisa. We really appreciate your time, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks, Terry, and thanks, Lisa. And now we're going to go back to Lou. And yes, Lou, it's true. true. Obama still has been reelected, okay? So I know you're excited. Calm down over there. Okay, we've got breaking news, and we're going to go to Howard Levine, who is running for City Council, Grass Valley.
Here at beautiful Cane's Restaurant in lovely downtown Grass Valley. Thank you, Cheryl. You guys are doing a great job over there at Election Central at the Rood Center in Nevada City. And I'm here with a very new member of the Grass Valley City Council.
Am I?
I've heard a rumor, Howard Levine, who many of you know from how many years with the Grass Valley Downtown Association?
13.
13, but who's counting?
Yeah.
Who's counting? And now looking forward to...
10 years as a planning commissioner.
Oh my gosh.
35 years in the audience at the city council meetings.
Yes, yes, you have made yourself known.
Member of Citizens for Organized Planning in 1986.
I thought you were going to say organized crime. That would be a different thing.
Yeah, but I want... Yeah, I don't think the election's over, but if I'm elected, I think that is terrific. I want to say one thing about city elections and elections within our jurisdiction, and that is my desire to maintain nonpartisanship in these local elections. I am mortified at the amount of partisanship that is put into local elections, and I think that doesn't work well for anybody in our county.
Yeah, why can't we all just get along, right?
We have to get along. We have things to do in our community, and it is so important that we all work together. And it's not anything wrong that you work with people across party lines, different philosophies than you have. That is how we make our tapestry work here.
I couldn't agree more, Howard. And tell me this, if elected, you will serve?
I would be honored to serve the citizens of Grass Valley. I think this is the best city anywhere. I hear other candidates who are on city councils talk about their constituents and their community. This place is so tremendous, from the Center to the Arts to the new Core Center to Sierra College, the things that we've been able to be involved with, the North Star House that my wife is so involved with. This is a tremendous place, and the potential is just out there for us. I'd love
unlimited.
to work.
It's unlimited.
It is. It's beautiful. Our environment, our Yuba River. It's all across the board. Our arts community. I love working on this community, and I look forward to doing that.
You've shown that these many years of your public service, Howard, and we really want to thank you and wish you well in the coming 4-year term.
Am I elected? How do you know that?
I think you're elected. I don't know. I have no insider information.
Okay. Because I haven't seen any returns.
Should you be elected, you will serve.
I will serve. Right. And I want to say hi to Lou. I want to send my love to you, Lou. Lou Sitzer.
You got a fan, Lou. Many fans.
And thank you all. And thanks for everybody who contributes to our community. That's what makes it so great.
You bet. And you chief among them. Thank you, Howard.
It's everybody. I am only one.
Yes. Only one of many. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we're going to toss it back over there to Election Central at the Rood Center, Nevada City. Cheryl, take it away.
Okay. Thanks, Terry. I know it's a tight race between Howard and Jim first, so we'll stay tuned. In the meantime, we're going to send it back to you, Lou. You've got some global news to tell us or something over there.
I do have some news. There's this commentator being pictured. This is the wonders of technology. My son lives in Taiwan. He's been listening and watching NCTV and Touchdown Productions, and he sent this to me as a photograph just to show that Nevada County, Touchdown Productions, NCTV, hey, it's a small world, and here we are, and we're reaching across oceans and continents, and there's no telling what is in our future. Let's hope it's promising. We want to take care of our town, our state, our country, our world, and our planet. So towns, yeah, our towns plural. Thank you. So going back to our towns.
Yes.
We can anticipate that there's going to be some revenue coming in because the overwhelming affirmation of the tax measures. What needs will that fill? How do you anticipate it'll be used?
Well, Measure L, the first thing that we're going to do, and the form of how it's going to be addressed hasn't been established yet, is to draw in community information to set those priorities. Obviously, the initial concept was underwritten by public safety, and being able to operate our police department at an effective level. I think everybody has really greeted our new chiefs, who's not so new anymore, all the work that he's done to bring the department together to move forward with addressing some of the earlier problems in town. He's made a lot of progress. One of those things, for example, has been one of our officers, Shane Franson, who's been doing a really effective job on the streets and patrolling and whatever. Well, he's been working on a part-time level. This additional funding will allow him to become a full-time officer. Other needs, the equipment, police cars, for example, to be able to have to build, to a certain extent, a contingency fund with unused money. There's no commitment in the measure or at the city's level to use all of the money. If it's gathered in, it's gathered in, and if there's an emergency that comes up, but then all needs to be considered in light of the fact of the huge cuts that we've suffered. And at this point, and the reason for the measure in the first place, is there's nowhere left to cut. Right. Unless you basically eliminated things and people did not get the level of service that they really want. And I think that's a strong vote indicates that they're willing to support it.
Right. It's about $380,000 a year for now. Does it sunset at any point?
5 years.
5 years.
Yes.
So we're talking about a little over almost $2 million over a 5-year period of time added back into the Treasury. Of course, that's going to be incremental.
Yeah. Well, added back is one way to look at it. It basically is filling up the holes that were made at the state level. The easy example is that Dave Brennan had happened to mention that if in fact Proposition 30 doesn't pass, according to the budget formulas and whatever the cuts are going to be, our police services alone are going to lose an additional $100,000. And one of our officers had been funded by a state narcotics grant, and that went away last year. So all of these fills, the city has been having to make with less and less revenues. Property taxes are down. Right. TOT, the motel, hotel taxes down, sales taxes down, and hopefully over the 5-year period they'll build up, and so it won't be necessary anymore. That's the plan. But community input is going to be the key. Right. So it just won't get lost in an arbitrary decision process.
And Yolanda, you're going to have also an increase in revenue for how long a period of time?
I believe it's 5 years as well. And we are going to start with an advisory board that the council will put together after hopefully the measure passes. And that advisory board will look after the funds, but primarily the funds will be used to hire 5 police officers, 4 fire personnel, fire people, and then also to repair our streets.
Sounds pretty essential.
Pretty essential, pretty basic, very needed in Grass Valley. Just very recently, over the weekend, I had my car broken into. A neighbor also had her home broken into. So our police officers are really struggling with prevention right now, and they're really having to kind of go back and do a lot of things because they're understaffed.
I think it was cut something like 33 down to 20.
Absolutely. I think we're down to the 1996 levels, I believe it was, if I'm remembering correctly. And really, if you look at just the day and age that we are in, it's really not working.
Right.
It's really not working. So, I mean, as the way the numbers are going right now, I'm getting really excited. I think it's going to make Grass Valley the place that, we want it to be, that we always hoped it was, and it's going to be great.
Great. So we're going to go back to Cheryl for some updates.
We do have an update interview from Janiyah Donaldson, and she's with Julie Griffith-Flatter, who is a candidate for State Senate, District 1. So out to Janiyah.
Janiyah Donaldson here with Democrats gathering on election night, and I'm with Julie Griffith-Flatter, who's running for California State Senate District 1, yeah?
Yes, that's true.
What's it been like?
Actually, it's been a very good experience and very positive. I've had no regrets, and I've enjoyed the entire run. Chose at the very beginning to go with a non-fundraising campaign, and also not to talk about my opponent, but only to talk about what I believed in my positions.
Wow.
So it's been very positive.
That's a really unusual set of choices here. Has that made a difference in terms of the response you've been getting from people?
Well, I think so. I really have had different contacts, mostly with people who are supporting and very supportive of what I believe in. But I've also had some real good discussions with people who don't believe in the same things I do. And I think that's important, that we continue to have those discussions, keep the dialogue open. And that was the main reason why I decided to run.
Where's home for you?
I live in Nevada City now. I've been here for about 5.5 years. I moved down the hill from Sierra City, which is unusual. Mostly we move up. I did grow up in the Bay Area, but I was in Sierra City for about 20 some odd years before I moved to Nevada County.
Have you run for office before? Is this, have you got other political background?
I have not run for an office before. I have worked in the public sector most of my career.
Doing what? I mean, what brings you to decide to do a political candidacy?
My background, my education is environmental planning and management, and I went from UC Davis up to Sierra County and worked as a land use planner in Downeyville for Sierra County. It's a very small government position, a very small government, so you get to observe just about everything that's going on with the Board of Supervisors, the local departments, and the interactions, which intrigued me in many ways, and the operations of government at a very small level. And then when I moved to Nevada City, I came down to start a state job. I work for the state now, and that gave me another level of government and observation of what goes on. So I've developed a curiosity and also an intrigue, and would like to at some point look into the policy making and decision making part of government in California especially.
It's really refreshing for me to hear a candidate talking about your values and bringing a kind of, what I hear is a kind of integrity and level-headedness to the position you'd like that you're a candidate for. That's refreshing. Have other people, said that to you in a way?
I guess in a way I've heard that. I'm more interested in really finding out what the needs are of the people that lived in the district. I want to understand from the individuals what some ideas are. I know that most of the people in District 1 especially are very strong characters. Individuals have very strong opinions and ideas, and I think those ideas really need to be brought forward. It shouldn't be these ideas generated in offices in Sacramento. I think that whoever is representing this area would be benefited by moving out into the area and talking to the folks who live here and getting ideas from the ground up on how to reach some good solutions for some of the problems we have, especially in the rural districts.
Thank you. Thank you, Julie. Thanks for running and thanks for talking with us, and good luck.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, we're back live at election headquarters, and we're just about ready to wrap up our 2-hour program, but wanted to go through the results as we have them before we sign off and give you an update before we close out the program. So for Nevada County, for President, Obama 44%, Romney 54%. Moving on to the Senate, Dianne Feinstein 46%, Elizabeth Emken 54%, Jim Reed at 46%, Doug LaMalfa 54%. And that was, let's see, Representative from District 4, Uppal 44%, McClintock 56%. State Senate District 4, Jim Nielsen 43%, Michael Harrington 35%, Dan Logue 16%. State Senate District 4, Jan Reed 3%, Ben Emery 2%, Dan Levine 2%. Okay, State Senate District 1, Ted Gaines 58%, Julie Griffith Flatter 42%. Assembly District 1, Brian Dahl 74%, Rick Bassetti 26%. Area 3 Trustee, Sierra Community College District, John Edward Zaberg 58%, Scott Tim Leslie 42%. Area 3 Trustee from Nevada Union School District, Katie Schwartz 58%, James Drew 42%. And also Area 4 Trustee, Nevada Union School District, Jim Adams 43%, Paul Aguilar 28%, Cindy Latimer 29%. Trustee, Nevada City School District, Paula Campbell 37%, Augustine Del Valle 12%. Also Trustee for Nevada City School District, Trish Gerving 28%, Edward Minnick, Aaron Minute, 23%. Board Member, Pleasant Ridge School District, Scott Hopper, 36%. S. Robert Tice Raskin, 23%. Mary Newberry, 41%. Director for Higgins Area Fire District, Alex Crawford, 41%. Chet Craigs, 22%, Dan Fitzgerald, 37%. Director, Nevada County Consolidated Fire District, Tom Carrington, 19%, Linda Chaplin, 12%, William Hablett, Jr. at 16%. Also for the Nevada County Fire District, Warren Knox, 16%, Robert Rhodes, 13%. And that's the latest results that we have here at about almost 10:30. But as you can see, the Boy Scouts are still bringing in the ballots, and it's still coming in. So now we're going to give it to Lou just to kind of do your perspective as we're wrapping it up.
Well, thanks. This has been a great 2 hours. I want to once again announce that President Barack Obama has been reelected. He both carried the Electoral College and it looks like the popular vote as well. It looks like the Democrats have maintained a majority in the Senate and that the Republicans will have a majority in the House. So we're going to be challenged as a nation, and we are going to, in terms of a divided government, we're challenged every day, and we fortunately have wonderful people at the local level. I want to thank Yolanda Cookson and Robert Bergman, who have both put in lots of time and energy and will continue to do so.
And enjoy the process.
That's great. Yes, public service and local community work is a great way to live a life. So I encourage you all to be involved. Continue, show up.
It matters.
Even if you don't show up, watch it on TV. Channel 17, we have a government channel that carries all the meetings. And so I want to really thank all of the volunteers. We have a wonderful group of volunteers here who have come and supported the station, including the Boy Scouts and all of the election poll monitors, people who are here doing what democracy is all about. Okay, time for Cheryl to wrap it up.
Thank you, Lou. And you're right, we have a lot of people to thank, and Touchdown Productions, thank you for broadcasting this, and thank you for our partnership with the Union newspaper, and thank you, Pascal, from Ubinet.com for all the latest results that we got. Thank you to all the volunteers and our panelists tonight for your time. It was very great discussion. And thank you for joining us. NCTV is an important platform for our community, and we're now local and global, as we know. The photos came in from Taiwan. And we just have our reporters, Terry Hicklin just came in from the parties, and so we're going to wrap it up and hope you're out there celebrating too. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next year at the elections. Good night.